back. I'm Tedward. Welcome to a beautiful spring day, and welcome back to my 2023 Honda Civic Type R, now on the summer rubber. Yes, my back has healed up just enough for me to be able to lift and mount a wheel and tire. Thankful for that. I don't wish back injuries on my worst enemies, but today's really special because we're heading down to Thompson Speedway in Connecticut to check out the Brown University FSAE car. Now, if you don't know what FSAE is, there's the SAE, the Society of Automotive Engineers, and then every year there's a competition where universities, colleges from all over the country collectively bring their race cars, their formula cars that abides by a very strict set of rules, but allows enough leeway for clever engineering. And they compete in a series of events. So they're not wheel-to-wheel racing necessarily, but they're going to be checked to make sure that A, the cars are safe. Of course, they've got to have certain crash protections and they need to be able to sit at an angle without rolling over, but also they are running really cool systems. So this one is going to be running a CBR600RR engine, but they're essentially just wild shifter carts on slicks, and they are super fun. Now, some teams are more prepared than others. It's not all exactly the same for everybody. Some folks are doing a 1-year car, some folks are doing a 2-year car. Some folks' cars never really drive. They never really drive properly. Other folks' cars are straight up ready for a racetrack. And it's an incredible recruitment tool if you're looking at colleges, because I know that for one, when I went to WPI to first kind of check out the school, one of the first things I saw was a formula car sitting in one of the buildings. And I was like, how do I drive this? How do I get a hold of this? How do I get access to building and utilizing this machine? Because that was like the coolest thing I had ever seen. Welcome to Thompson Speedway, where we've got the Brown FSAE team working on the car right now. I had a minor thing, but I want to show you around this car because these are really wild. And if you're somebody who is like young, looking to get into motorsports, or if you're looking to get into engineering in the future, this is a great way to kind of figure out like, how can your college support this? Because Formula SAE is probably one of the quickest ways to figuring out how the OEMs work, how they hire engineers, and how to learn about powertrains and suspension and chassis dynamics and aerodynamics and all kinds of crazy stuff. So let's go talk and find out what this is like, and then we'll take it for a drive. So this is Jack. Jack is going to tell us about powertrain. So what are we working with here?
Yeah, so we run a CBR600RR engine. It makes about 70-80 horsepower.
What's the car weigh? Who can say that?
600 pounds?
600 pounds?
No, with the driver. With the driver.
All right, so 600 pounds with the driver. So 70-80 horsepower is no joke, but I see a big restrictor on this intake. So what is that just an FSAE rule that you have to follow?
Yeah, by rules, we need to have a 20mm restrictor.
That's pretty tight.
Yeah.
So all of the power has to be made through that.
It's a pretty different tune with the restrictor than what the factory tune would be like. So.
Now, normally in a bike, you're running a normal bike setup with your shifting on the foot and all that stuff. How does this work? How are you shifting with this car?
Yeah, so our steering wheel has some paddles on it.
So you guys developed a pneumatic or hydraulic or pneumatic?
Yeah, pneumatic.
All right, so you've got air going, and that's
so
what's
big air tank here goes into this air box back here. There are a few solenoids in there that run into 3 kind of pneumatic wires. This one goes to the clutch, it'll pull the clutch in, and then 2 of them go to the shifter, so one goes up and one goes down.
So obviously to get this thing rolling, you're gonna have to clutch. So what are we using for a clutch? Because I only see 2 pedals down there.
So to clutch, when you get started, you have to pull this lever in.
And then release.
And then yeah, you slowly let it out, but then when you're shifting, the car will handle it all for you, so you don't need to worry about that.
What about ECU? How are you running this thing?
Yeah, we have a Motec M150 ECU and a slightly kind of modified package to handle some of the extra shifting stuff we want to do with it.
What have you done to make this car handle?
So basically the whole point of suspension is we're trying to keep all 4 tires in contact with the ground and straight up. So what we have is we have these double wishbone. We control the car with these 2 control arms, and we control the movement up and down with a push rod and a damper.
These are the cutest like remote reservoir Öhlins I've ever seen in my entire life.
I know, they're adorable, and you can adjust all the damping in bump, rebound, and all that stuff.
The front suspension, you've got double wishbone. What about the rear? The
rear is similar. It's also double wishbone. Pretty similar idea. You just got to have room for the drivetrain, and you don't got to have steering, so you just have a static tow rod. And we package it. It's not just the straight up. We have like an inboard damper here, So we have this bell crank, and we have an anti-roll bar right here. So when both sides move up, it just moves these the same direction and does nothing. But when you're in roll, they move in opposite directions, so it's just like a torsion bar.
Down here we've got this massive cooling system, but it's actually pretty clever. So Chandler, tell us what you've done down here to make this thing run without overheating.
Yeah, so we did a little MATLAB script, a genetic algorithm, to use the epsilon NTU method just to see like how much we need to reject from the engine. So off of that, we were able to size this radiator. So it's kind of huge, as I've heard, but it works. Either way, the newest thing that we have this year is a swirl pot. So what it does is it deaerates the coolant. So as the water's coming out from the engine up here, it's getting like little micro pockets of boiling, and that's steam. We don't want steam in the cooling system. It'll cavitate the pump. It's worse for heat transfer. So what we did is this swirl pot right here, it's like a little mini centrifuge, and all the heavier water comes out to the side and the air escapes to the top. And we validated this with a little bit of lasers and science, if you will. But I haven't processed all that data. When I do, I'll be able to see, 3% increase in cooling, and hopefully judges will love that. The biggest challenge is really the endurance driver swap and just waiting in line to excel, because you're not getting any air through the radiator and the engine's just idling back there. So the fan has to be on. Last year we actually had a little oopsie where the fan was not on, and we just blew the catch can out. A little steam, a little shower for the driver behind us.
That's always fun. Always a nice, like, very warm shower.
Right.
That's why we wear racing suits. And
Exactly. But we fixed that. We have a little outlet tube here, so that should prevent anything, and our fan's gonna turn on automatically. So our driver doesn't have to worry about that once it all gets sorted.
Did you know anything about like automotive cooling systems before you started with it?
Absolutely not. This summer I was like, okay, what is a radiator? And then I just like researched, designed, redesigned again, remanufactured, because that's just how it goes. But yeah, I'm very happy with how it turned out.
Do you hear this? This is what we're looking for. Like, if you're somebody who like is interested in cars, but you don't have any background, maybe like your parents didn't have a racing team to teach you everything about a vehicle when you're growing up. Like, nobody here has like much experience with this. A couple guys, but for the most part, everyone's learning on the fly. And they've built a car that drives. I grew up in the early 2000s, so I see this giant arrow, and all I'm thinking is the Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak. And this thing is insane. Tell us about the aerodynamics of your Formula car.
Yeah, I mean, it does look a lot like a time attack car, because basically how Formula Student works is we have a lot of these shorter, tighter autocross tracks, so we're not really concerned with top speed as much as we are with getting a lot of grip in the low speed corners. And the way that manifests in the aero package is we have these huge wings creating tons of downforce and tons of drag, but we don't really care about drag necessarily, as we do like just getting the absolute most grip out of the tires. So we have, this is our first ever aero package. So we're, trying things out for the first time.
Sure.
So we have pretty basic, constant cross section across all of these for manufacturability reasons. And then we have 3 elements here in the main kind of section of the rear wing, and then a beam wing up here. One of the advantages of having a beam wing is it's mounted higher on the car, so you have less obstruction to the flow. You get cleaner air coming to those areas, as opposed to, wakes that are kicked up by the front tires, suspension, body, front wing, etc.
And then you've got to balance it out with the front.
Exactly, yeah. So
you've got this big, like, this looks like an early 2000s Formula One car in terms of the style. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so the front wing, obviously it's mounted a lot closer to the ground. So even though visually it looks a lot smaller, there's an effect known as ground effect, wherein basically you're accelerating the air a lot more underneath the car because it's kind of being accelerated by the ground. What that means is that the front wing looks visually smaller than the rear wing, but actually a lot of work that we've been doing is getting the rear wing to balance the downforce created by the front wing, because it's pretty powerful.
Right now you do not need to worry about any of these black buttons.
Okay.
All right, this switch on your very left is the fan switch.
Okay.
After you start the car, you're going to want to flip that up. Your fan will turn on.
Sure.
This is the emergency stop button.
We like that.
Yep. And it's in its off state, the car will run. As soon as you press it, it shuts off the it basically shuts off the engine.
Right.
And you'll only have braking action at that point.
Okay.
On your very right, you have the clutch. So it is a hand clutch. If you pull it as far back, yeah.
All right, so that's disengaged, and then this is engaging.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so the startup sequence will basically be pull the clutch in. This is the little starter button.
With that? Is that on?
Because it's in second gear right now?
It's in third gear right now.
Third gear, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I would not worry about shifting right now. That's something that's still in the process of being debugged. This is the first time everything has come together.
The team then invited me to drive their car, which is incredibly nice because this is the only car they have and they have to go to competition in a couple weeks. There's no real course set up on the skid pad right now, so my goal for this first session was just to go out, put a little heat in the tires, and get a feel for what it can do.
It needs quite a bit of throttle to stay. I think we have a wire hanging loose somewhere.
Gotcha.
Give me 1 second.
That looks good.
We got some heat in the tires.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, wow.
It turns left better than it turns right. I haven't touched the brakes once. So that's all just off throttle. It rotates really nicely off throttle, so the weight transfer is fantastic. For my second round of driving, they set up a little more of an autocross course because remember, at the same time, they are actually timing themselves to figure out who's going to be driving at competition because they want to win. I went out and kind of played a little bit of a Picasso autocross because I got to choose my own adventure. My times didn't matter. I just wanted to go and kind of figure out if the adjustments we had made from the first session with tire pressures and some other little things made a difference in the car and made it handle and behave a little more predictably. I also wanted to be able to set a benchmark for lateral G, both left and right. So that way, if there was a discrepancy between the two, they could dial it out with alignment or tire pressures. without giving some feedback on the brakes. So I tested out the brakes, and when they were first touched, I noticed that it was locking up that front left tire. And then after I got a little bit of heat in them, they started to be a lot more consistent and balanced, and I felt a lot more comfortable with how they were behaving. And when you do use the brakes, it's more to steer the car from the rear, because suddenly you're drifting. You lift a little bit of weight off those rears and the thing is going to rotate. And that's to your advantage if you're comfortable doing it. I realized I could have a little bit of fun by coercing it sideways.
She will definitely drift. I had to provoke it with the brakes, but it does it. This thing's awesome. That is like the most fun. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. This is like the nicest thing anyone could do for somebody.
Well, that was an insanely fun day here at Thompson Speedway with the Brown University Formula SAE team. Thank you to the Brown University Formula SAE team for having me out. Honestly, what a real treat to be trusted with their car. I had the most fun driving it. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do at competition. And thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you've got questions for their team or just about FSAE in general, reach out. I mean, it's such a cool event because it's something where there's real stakes, but a lot of the cars are built and designed by students who may have never had any experience in motorsports prior to turning a wrench on a Formula car. Feel free to sound off in the comments and ask about what this is all about. It's just so wonderful. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.
The fact that we got the car out so much earlier and ironed out most of the problems in the process has made it so much easier for us. You know, coming in now, just being able to tune, like you said, damper rebound or tire pressures. Like, that's not something we've had the ability to do in the past, which has been very, very helpful for the team.
Oh yeah. This is not all like my keys. Like, I'm a computer engineer. I'm working on shifting, and like we have like a lot of people who are not engineers at all.
One of our two chassis leads is an archaeologist.
Who's the archaeologist?
welder.
Let's look around. Yeah, she's not here. She's the welder though.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.